Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're discussing a classic from the late 2000s. It's the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor GMT in stainless steel. You can see and you can own this stainless steel automatic dual-time sports timepiece on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos. And please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Master Compressor GMT. Now, this was not the first dual time in the Master Compressor family. That was the Master Compressor Dual-Matic of 2004. Now, this watch actually came out in 2008, and it had a relatively short run, but it's significant because it incorporates a beautifully balanced dial that affords the watch a sort of dual-role sport and formal facility, while at the same time using the caliber 975 auto tractor architecture that JLC developed in the early 2000s using its experience with IWC sports watches from the 1990s. More on that in a moment. Let's talk about the fit and the feel. It's a 41.5 millimeter case from 9 to 3, not including the compressor crown and winglet. The watch is relatively slim, 13 millimeters thick with a generously sloped conical bezel. It slides easily underneath a dress cuff. This is not a thick sports watch. From lug to lug, it's a very reasonable 49.5 millimeters, which seems almost quaint in this day and age. The 2000s broke so far past the previous bounds of what was considered wearable and acceptable that under 50 millimeters lug to lug almost feels like a unisex option, but it has plenty of personality because of the adventurous styling that, if you look carefully, gently channels the Polaris of 1968. It's all in the hands as well as the numeral 9 and the size and shape of the indices. More on that in a second. All of high polished steel. You can see the watch isn't as pot-bellied as other Master Compressor references. That's why it wears thin and slim on the wrist. It doesn't have a broadly domed case back. The watch also features a very substantial bolstered and double contrast stitched medium scale dark brown rectangular alligator leather strap, rectangular scales, considered to be the upscale option even among alligator options, but toned down to put an equal emphasis on the double-stitched border, the folded edges. It has a supple calfskin on the underside, but it's a fairly stiff strap simply because the top side with the bolstered gaiter is so robust. It features a full stainless steel deployant clasp. This seems like something that you see less and less often on JLC sporting and, I would say, accessible steel models today. They tend to be coming out with more and more pin buckles. So I'm happy to see their third generation deployant clasp, first generation double deployant clasp on this one adds extra security while donning or removing. In spite of its compact dimensions, it's still a hefty watch, so that security is welcome. You'll notice that the case is simple, and it's a form that should be familiar to those who followed the Master Compressor series from 2002 forward. A simple sports watch case, light beveling on the edge of the lug. It's subtle, but it's there as a transitional shape. The case band is strong, but the sides are sheer, so perhaps the elegance of this one is in its slim profile rather than any particular nuance of the case, because there's not much, to be honest. So you can see the conical bezel gives way to a dial that has multiple planes of focus. You can see white gold hands, applied indices, Arabic numeral 9, and you can see a compressor GMT advertisement in the upper left-hand quadrant of the Ray-Hawt style sloped chapter ring. Also a different coloration. As you can see, it fades from black as you move backwards to a sort of gray through the first 15 minutes. No, it's not a mobile bezel like some of the earlier compressors had, but it can be used for reading off minutes. Now, the watch also features, as you can see, Gmt Functionality. Move the hands in sync, and you'll note it does feature hacking or stop seconds, or withdraw the crown to the intermediate position, as I'm not always so want to do. This is what happens when you build up calluses from playing the guitar. Alright, so now you can see how you can move the hour hand independently and it can even drive the date forward or backwards as you pass over the international date line. And the nice thing is, if you don't need two time zones, you can superimpose them, so you have the ability to clean up the dial of the watch. The previous Master Compressor dual time was the Dual-Matic, which was very distinctive to the point that it became polarizing. It had a few extraneous cutouts in the dial. Reading it was a little bit chaotic. It wasn't to every taste. This is far more diplomatic from an aesthetic standpoint, having a beautiful cruciform symmetry about it, such that you could quarter the dial, and each one is equally weighted with calibrations, scales, registers, form, and mass. Visually, it's very pleasing. Now, the compressor crown is still present and correct. Red, you're dead, but through the miracle of mechanical engineering, white, you're tight. It's 1/2 turn to open and 1/2 turn to close. It gives you 100 meters of water resistance. Like the Panerai device protecting the crown, it is a different answer to the problem of sealing a watch than the Rolex Oyster screw-down crown that's been with us since the 1920s. I find that if you like the style, it's far easier to use than any screw-down crown, and less obtrusive and unlikely to dig your wrist, as the Panerai will occasionally do. So I feel this is a wonderfully distinctive invention of Jaeger-LeCoultre, also a very effective one that gives you a color-coded reminder that you need to lock your crown before you take the plunge. Now, the watch features a caliber 975H, which is to say it features the 975 Auto Tractor, unidirectional winding for efficiency, more so than bidirectional, with ceramic rotor bearings that operate unlubricated for long-wearing durability, and yes, still more winding efficiency. This is a watch that can typically top itself off completely in a day of wear, even for sedentary office dwellers like myself. It features a 48-hour power reserve when fully wound and operates at a 28,800 vibration per hour beat rate. Of course, you saw it does feature hacking seconds, and you change the date by moving the local time, which is the permanent luminescent hour hand at center. The watch also features a free-sprung balance with a hairspring that's laser welded at the stud and the collet. The two features combining to robustly reinforce the watch against shock-induced timing deviation, but the 975 went one step further. It features a full balance bridge anchored on both sides like a Rolex movement architecture like you'd seen in a 3135 for still more shock and impact resistance. Finally, it features its own unique gear profiles, which were developed by JLC in a consortium with other watchmakers in Switzerland to make the watch still more efficient, the 975 being rough and tumble and exceptionally accurate, and through the JLC master control process, the watch is tested for chronometric performance as well as winding efficiency, power reserve, resistances, water resistance, of course, being one of them, anti-magnetism, shock resistance, a full test of the durability and precision of a cased-up watch, not a bare movement as with the COSC chronometer test. That's what the Master 1000 Hours test is. A modern caliber pivoting on 29 joules, a pleasure to wind manually, a pleasure to set, tank tough, set it and forget it, accurate in a 100-meter water-resistant watch that in this day and age at 41.5 millimeters could even be considered more of a sporty dress watch than a dressy sports watch. See it and decide for yourself on our website.